Hello students, I hope you all are good. I am Jaswinder Kaur, working as an English teacher at Amity High Secondary School, Sopore. Today I have selected the poem The Brook. The Brook is the poem written by Lord Alfred Tennyson. In this poem, he is narrating the entire journey of the brook in an autobiographical format, where the brook is talking to the reader directly and telling about its journey from where it started and how it finally goes and joins the brimming river. Now the poet in this poem has pulled a parallel between the brook and a human being's life, the similarities and the differences in the experience that the brook goes through from the origin to finally joining the river, and the experience that a man goes through, a parallel between them from birth to death. It's a metaphor, it's a subtle comparison, no direct comparison had been made. So let us look at the poem in more details. In the first paragraph, he says, I come from haunts of coot and hern, I make a sudden sally, and sparkle out among the fern to bicker down a valley. So the brook is talking to the reader directly and saying, I originate from haunts of coot and hern. Haunts. What is haunts? Haunts are places that are frequently visited by whom? By coots and hern. He is talking about two kinds of birds. So perhaps it's the ordinary field where mankind doesn't visit much, but these birds visit. That's where the brook originates its start its journey to finally go and join the river. I make a sudden sally. So once it starts, there is a certain sally, there is a certain turn, change in the course. And sparkle out among the fern. Now where the river is flowing on the banks of the river, there is fern. The fern is a plant which is not very bright green in color. It is a quite dull green. And because the fern is dull green and brown in color, this water in between, this fern seems to sparkle. It seems to be shining out. To Bicker Down Valley. So after flowing through the fern, the brook is flowing down into a valley. To do what? To bicker, to talk, to make noise. Because when the water falls down, it makes a noise. In the second paragraph, the poet is saying, by 30 hills I hurry down, or slip between the ridges, by 20 throps a little town, and 100 bridges. So these are the things that the river crosses after the valley. It is passing through 30 hills. It hurries down the hills because hills are certain slopes. So it's kind of hurries down or slips between the ridges. Ridges are the mountain of the hills. So it is slipping through there. By 20 throps is like a small village, a little town. And 100 bridges, 100 is 50. So it is crosses 50 bridges in its course. Third paragraph is further telling us, till last by Flip's form, I flow to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So at last, it comes to Flip's form. Flips is an ordinary name. So it's an ordinary man's form that finally it passes through. And after that, these three lines in the third paragraph have been repeated quite often 4 times in the poem. To join the brimming river, for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So the poet is saying that the brook is doing all this, flowing through the fern, flowing through the bridges, the little town, Flip's form with the final goal of reaching the brimming river. It wants to meet the river that is overflowing with water. So joins prosperity, just like man, are always gearing towards prosperity. They have the final goal of being successful in life. Is this brook, which is like a tiny river, will go and join this brimming river and becomes more fulfilled in its end ever. But for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. You men come to this earth, you are gone. You live your life, but then you go. You leave the earth and go, you die. But I am the brook, I go on forever. In the fourth paragraph, the poet is telling us, I chatter over stony ways, in little sharp and trebles, I bubble into ending bays, I babble on the pebbles. So in its journey, the brook is doing a lot of things when it is passing on stony pebbles. When the path is there, there's a lot of stones, then the water is again making a noise. So it is as if it is chatting. The brook is chattering. In little sharp and trebles, it takes sharps, curves and turns on the stony paths. I bubble into ending bays if there is one corner of the river where the water is enriching into the ground, into the land. Then what happens? You must have noticed that you can see a kind of foam over there forming. So I bubble into the ending bays, I babble on the pebbles. On the stones it chatters, but then when there is no stones but pebbles, because pebbles are more rounded stones, then there it's kind of babbles. It is more smooth kind of a noise that comes when the river flows on the top of the pebbles. Now let's move on to the fifth paragraph. With many curves my bank I fret, by many a field and fallow, and many a fairy foreland set with willow, weed and mallow. So the brook is saying that it passes through many curves. The bank of the rivers get worn out, fret. Fret means get worn out. And it flows through fields, and through fields that looks as if they are setting made in fairyland. They are so pretty with willow, weeds and mallow. These are the names of the plants that are there in the banks of the river. I chatter, chatter as I flow to join the brimming river, for man may come and man may go, but I go on forever. I chatter, chatter as I flow. These three lines again have been repeated in the sixth paragraph. They were there in the third paragraph also. In this he says, I chatter, chatter as I flow, as the brook flows. It keeps making noise to join the brimming river. So it has the ultimate goal to join the brimming river. For men may go, but I go on forever. Paragraph, the poet says, I wind about and in and out, with here a blossom sailing, and here and there a lusty trout, and here and there a grayling. So the brook is saying that while it is flowing, there is certain things that are floating on the surface of that brook. For example, a blossom. A blossom is a flower that is accidentally broken down from the plants, because there are plants on the banks. So that flowers, that dry leaf, they keep floating on the water and they flow along with the brook. Here the poet is making reference to the experience that man gathers along his way through his life as a journey. The friends he meets, the family he makes, they go along with him through his journey. They are there with him. And here there are lusty trouts. Trout is a fish which is ever so hungry. The brook on its way has lot of ups and downs, and in its winding moments it often falls from height and goes in deep water and comes out to continue to flow. The brook carries blossoms on its way. Along with the brook there go a lot of fishes like lusty trouts and grayling. Now in the eighth paragraph he says, and here and there a foamy flake upon me as I travel, with many a silvery water breaks above the golden gravel. Now the poet is painting a picture in front of us. The water is flowing. We have generally seen that in a flowing river or a brook there is a foam that is there on the surface of the water, which keeps flowing along with the river. So as the brook travels, there is a foaming flake on it, which keeps on traveling. So in the human's life, there are certain things which are only for show off. They have no material and substance inside. They are just like a foamy flake. On top, very visible, but no substance. With many silvery water breaks, so when the water is flowing, sometimes the water splits. Ordinarily, the water is transparent. It has no color of its own. But when this water splits, we can see silver. Whereas the base on which the river is flowing is golden in color because of the stones. So it is like a golden gravel. So at time in a human's life, there is a silver outbreaks. There is a golden part. So because when a man becomes little successful in his life, his career is established, then he has the silver and golden outbreaks. He is traveling on the golden part and there is a silver outbreaks and there are foaming flakes. So he is pulling a parallel between a brook life and a human life. Now in the ninth paragraph, the poet says, and drawn them all along and flow to join the brimming river, for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So the poet is saying that as the rivers flow, it collects all these things on the way and it flow along with the river. Just like in human lives, whatever experience the human goes through and whatever friends and family that the person has, They go along with the person in the person's journey through his life. And then again, in the 9th paragraph, he is repeating these 3 lines. To join the brimming river, for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So the ultimate goal of the brook is to join the brimming river, just like human beings have the ultimate goal of becoming successful in life. But yet men come and go. They are born, but they die. But the brook is better because she goes on forever. In the 10th paragraph, he says, I steal by lawns and grassy plots. I slide by hazel covers. I mow the sweet forget-me-nots that grow for happy lovers. So again, it is talking about the brook's journey. Brook is passing many grassy plots and it slides through hazel covers. Hazel is a kind of tree which grows a special kind of nuts, that is hazelnuts. Hazel is also a color. Forget-me-nots is a plant which has these beautiful blue flowers which have forget-me-nots, because for all the poets, these flowers are such that as a lover tells the other that you should not forget me. So these flowers are the symbol of that grow for happy lovers. So as if these forget-me-nots plant are growing on the banks of the brook, so that the lover can come and sit in that beautiful place under the shade of these plants. Now in the 11th paragraph, I slip, I slide, I gloom, I glance among my skimming swallow. I make the netted sunbeam dance again my sandy shallow. In his journey, the brook sometimes slip, sometimes slide, sometimes gloom, sometimes glance. And there we find swallow birds to skim on the surface of the water for food. The brook waves create a net-like structure on which the sunshine sparkles, and it seems to us as if the sunbeams are dancing. Let's move on to the 12th paragraph of the poem. I murmur under moons and stars in Bramley wilderness. I linger by my shingly bars. I loiter round my creases. So here the poet is explaining how the brook behaves at night time. So under the moons and stars, just like human beings at night seems to slow down, become less loud, become silent, the brook also now is not bickering, not chattering. Now it started murmuring. It's kind of whispering. It has slowed down. In Bramley wilderness, which are full of thorns. So it is talking about a metaphor wherein it is a dark phase following human's life. In human beings' life, there are times which are very dry and scary, as if it is the night, as if he has slowed down. So here the poet is also making a reference to man growing up. The man has become old now. It is now chattering and active like he used to be. Now he has reached its old age. It is the night of his life. He is going to now die. But the brook is only passing through this dark night. But I linger by my shingly bars. So now the speed is slow down. It's kind of lingering there between the thorny bushes, because these are sad times. The old age is time where human beings are illnessness. I loiter round my creases, are small plants with many tiny leaves. I kind of hang round there with nothing much to do. The brook is just stand off there, not moving on if it doesn't have a goal, because human beings in old age seems to have no goal and purpose. Last paragraph the poet says, and out again I curve and flow. Here the brook becomes different from human beings. It comes out of his darkness. It curves. It takes a turn. It has changed, and again it starts flowing to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So here the man seems to be phasing out, but the brook comes out, takes a new flow, and is headed towards joining the brimming river. So it is going to become fuller again. Unlike human beings, for men may come and men may go. These 3 lines now repeated for the 4th time in the poem to bring about the emphasis. Yes, we have come to the end of this poem. I hope you students understand this poem very well. Stay home, stay safe.